Good morning, everyone. Meteorologist Tawana Andrew here, and we're keeping an eye on everything weather related for today as we have some active weather coming our way as of right now. So, a lot to watch across the region starting today. But as of this moment, as of 10:18, we do not have much going on in our area, keeping an eye on everything. Of course, for those of you out and about. So, already starting to see some severe thunderstorm warnings. We have the tornado watch in place for areas along and south of 64 until 4 p.m. So we are already seeing the beginnings of some of these storms moving in. And remember, the tornado watch, it goes until 4 o'clock this afternoon. That is for the first batch of storms moving our way. So let's talk about the severe thunderstorm warning that we already have in place. It's for portions of Grayson County. So it's including the very western portions of Grayson County. Everybody to the west of Litchfield, you're in that severe thunderstorm warning as of right now. And some of the things that we're going to be keeping an eye on with this: wind gusts near 70 miles per hour. And we could even see some 3/4 sized hail, 3/4 of an inch size hail with this batch of thunderstorms that is now moving towards portions of Grayson County. I'm going to zoom out a little bit more so you can see kind of where these storms are and what's going on. So the strongest storms as of this moment are just outside of wave country. Keeping an eye on some of these strong thunderstorms off towards the Nortonville area, towards Madisonville as well. Many of you remember what happened in Mayfield a couple of years ago. They even had a tornado warning earlier this morning. And keeping an eye on Hopkinsville. This is one spot where we have a tornado warning as of right now. And we are keeping an eye on this storm system because this particular storm has been really almost consistently for the past couple of hours creating some sort of tornado threat. So continuing to keep an eye on this batch of thunderstorms moving through the Hopkinsville area. And you guys know that it's sometimes a little bit hard to see on there. So if we look at the velocity here, you can certainly see that massive rotation. I'm going to draw a little circle around it so you can see where some of that rotation is going on as of right now in the Hopkinsville area, very close to the radar now down there. But that is where we are seeing the tornado pushing through the southern portion of Hopkinsville. As of right now, it is radar indicated, not seeing anything in terms of it being confirmed that it's on the ground, but based on this, definitely looks like there is something happening, and it's certainly not good in the Hopkinsville area. So we'll continue to keep an eye on this because these storms are going to be moving to the northeast straight into our region. If you were watching on Weekend Sunrise, I was breaking down the time frame for you with things starting to kick up right about now after 10 o'clock. And we're seeing exactly that happening with our first severe thunderstorm warning in place. So remember, the tornado watch for those of you along and south of 64, it does include Louisville. It goes until 4 o'clock this afternoon. And you have me here throughout the day today. Ryan Hope will be here. And if he is needed, Brian Good will also be here today to make sure that we are fully staffed with everybody we can bring in on this holiday weekend to make sure that you get the information that you need. So once again, Grayson County, the very western portions of Grayson County are already underneath that severe thunderstorm warning. And here's a wider look at what we're going on. Most of wave country, we're quiet. We're just fine, not seeing anything other than those clouds and temperatures trying to warm up. But of course, all that severe weather is off towards our southwest as of right now. Going to be certainly keeping an eye on this tornado warning right here in the central city area, especially as it tries to move towards Grayson County. If it does so, then I'm going to be hopping off of here and hopping on air. And for those of you who may be interested in watching the Indy 500 today, keep in mind, if there's a tornado warning, we are going to hop on top of that and cover it up. So I'm just going to give you the heads up right now. I know we usually get emails with people who may be upset that we'd be covering up other things going on. But if you didn't know, we are legally required to be on air if there's a tornado warning to make sure that everyone is safe. So that is what we're going to do for today. So watching that tornado warning just outside of wave country, the severe thunderstorm warnings as well. So we'll keep an eye on that very, very closely. Just to answer some of the questions that we already have going on, I see a lot of you tagging other people in it. Thank you for doing that. Yes, make sure everybody knows what the weather is going to be like. I know a lot of people are going to be out and about. I know we have Abbey Road and the River. We have a bunch of other festivals, including the Zebra Fest going on. We have everybody heading to the Expo Center for the flea market today. I want to make sure everyone is weather aware as you're heading out and about for today with some of these strong storms moving in. So, Michaela, you asked, is that Mayfield tornado confirmed? Radar based so far, I've seen it. I haven't seen any actual confirmations of damage in that area, but there were certainly some reports of damage in parts of Western Kentucky and parts of Missouri. Did not look good with some of the tornadoes moving through those areas for this morning. So keeping an eye on these storms as they are actually weakening a bit as they move towards us, but this is still something that we'll have to watch. So another question that we have going on, newest data showing some supercells popping for this afternoon. That's if, keyword is if the atmosphere is able to recover, we may see some of these thunderstorms moving in after the first wave, and we'll have to watch for that. But it's an if, because if the atmosphere cannot destabilize enough and it stays stable, then our severe threat into the later portions of the afternoon goes down, but we still have to watch what's happening for later on tonight. Katie asked the question, do I think that the watch will extend further to the north? As of right now, based on the way things are looking, I think the main severe threat is for those of you further to the south of Louisville. That is where we have most of the energy right now. This is where we have most of the moisture, and that is where we could see some of the stronger storms. So a lot to watch with this. Cameron, are these clouds going to cap us after the first round, or do we see some clearing? There's a potential for some clearing. There's a potential that we'll warm up back into the upper 70s, low 80s after this first round, but we'll have to see how things hold, because with that next wave moving in after about 10 o'clock tonight, there's still plenty of time for the atmosphere to destabilize, to be re-energized, and we'll be watching it. And certainly I will be watching it. Even if I go home later on, I'll still be watching it. I'll be back in early on sunrise for you tomorrow morning with a recap of what's happening and what happened in our area. I have a family reunion in Upton, like that Central City one might move here. If you are in Upton, heading to Upton, or your family is doing that family reunion in Upton, I certainly recommend maybe moving everything inside and having ways to get alerts, because all these storms, especially the first batch of storms, are moving towards you already. So you have to be very, very weather aware and be very, very careful. For those of you further to the north, watching for mainly rain and gusty winds as of right now. So that's the main thing that we're going to be looking at. So let me just break down everything that we're seeing right now and how things look to evolve. Then I'll work to try to answer a few more of your questions, because I think I might answer them as I go along. So of course we have the tornado warnings, which now this newest one now includes, it looks like it includes Bowling Green. Yes, the western portions of Bowling Green now included in that tornado warning. It looks radar indicated as of right now, and it's with this same storm that I was talking about, the one that was out in the Hopkinsville area. So they're putting out the tornado warnings out ahead of this to make sure everybody gets a pretty decent heads up of what's coming their way. So I wouldn't be surprised if they try to do that same thing for the Central City area. So we'll be watching it. I'm here, and just a heads up, if we get that tornado warning, I'm hopping off and going straight into our studio and covering everything. We're already trying to warm up pretty quickly. A lot of us are well into the 70s right now, so we're already in that situation where the atmosphere is starting to be a little bit more destabilized as these storms move in. Let's break down our severe threat for today. Everybody underneath the enhanced risk, level 3 out of 5, we're going to break down each threat individually. First, that tornado threat, the potential for tornadoes, greatest for those of you west of Louisville. This is where we have that hatch mark. So there's that potential for some more robust, certainly, tornadoes in that area. So we'll be keeping an eye on that as well. We are keeping an eye on, another tornado warning just came out for areas closer to Russellville, Auburn, Kentucky, and Lewisburg, Kentucky. So if you have any family in those areas, the Russellville, Auburn, Kentucky, and Lewisburg areas, they just got another tornado warning for them. So, of course, when I tell you this is popping up on my phone right now and I'm seeing it real time. I'll be updating you as the morning continues. So what we're dealing with right now in terms of that tornado potential, areas further to the west of Louisville have a greater threat to see some of these tornadoes. And this is going to be for the morning, then again for later on tonight. The damaging wind threat is the main issue that we're watching. And although a lot of people tend to disregard the severe thunderstorm warnings, and today is the day that you definitely do not want to do that, because with these severe thunderstorm warnings, we could see wind gusts over 70 miles per hour. Keep in mind, 74 miles per hour is a weak hurricane, to put that in perspective for you. So you want to make sure that you are paying very good attention to all warnings, whether they are severe thunderstorm, flash flood warnings, tornado warnings. You need to be weather aware for the rest of the day. That hail threat is greatest off towards the southwest portions of wave country, so towards Evansville and really to the west of Bowling Green. But we still have that potential to see some more of those strong thunderstorms with some more of that hail with this first batch that's moving through, and especially later on tonight and into tomorrow. Good question here. One question: who puts out the warnings? National Weather Service? Yes. If it's a warning, that is the National Weather Service here in Louisville. For some of you in Southern Indiana, Indianapolis puts out your warnings. For those of you in Carroll County, Wilmington, Ohio puts out your warnings. So it is National Weather Service that puts those out. We don't put those out. For the watches, especially tornado watches, severe thunderstorm watches, that is the Storm Prediction Center in Norman, Oklahoma. They're the ones who put those out. We do not. And sometimes they will always have a discussion with the National Weather Service in Louisville about whether or not they're going to extend watches into certain areas, but the warnings are mainly National Weather Service in Louisville. So let's break down what we're going to be seeing for the rest of the day, because I see all of your questions going on. So this first batch of strong thunderstorms moving in right now, and what we are dealing with those, the damaging wind threat, the potential for some hail and very heavy rain. The flooding threat is something that I think a lot of people are not always remembering with this, but we already seen some pretty soggy conditions for the past week. So any additional heavy rainfall on top of all of that could really cause some issues, especially for those of you further to the south of the parkways, especially into Greene, Taylor, Dare counties. You saw nearly 5 inches of rain just last week. So any additional rainfall on top of that is going to just make things worse. So we'll have to watch that. So this is the first wave. From now all the way through about noon, seeing some more of these storms rolling through. And we can see additional thunderstorms trying to fire up between 2 and 3 o'clock. But once we get past about 4 o'clock, the majority of the severe weather for the entire region is out of the area. So from now through 4 p.m., that's the first wave of storms, the damaging wind threat, the potential for isolated tornadoes, heavy rain. That's what we're going to be watching with all of it. And this accounts for everyone in our area, but the tornado threat is greater for those of you in that tornado watch. Now we get into later on tonight. This is when, after 10 p.m., we see some more of these strong, severe storms pushing through. All the threats are on the table for this. Large hail, very heavy rain, damaging wind gusts over 70 miles per hour, and that potential for some isolated tornadoes. So that is going to be later on tonight after 10 p.m. We'll keep that threat going through midnight. And once we get towards 2 a.m., the majority of these storms will be out of our region. So breaking down the timing a little bit more for you, from now through 4 p.m., this is when we'll see some of these strong, severe storms pushing through our area with that damaging wind threat, the isolated tornado threat, the heavy rain. Then we get a little bit of a break after about 4 or 5 o'clock this afternoon. Then until about 10 o'clock, that's when that break will last. After 10 o'clock is when we see the next round of these strong, severe storms pushing through. All severe threats are on the table with that. So a lot to watch for the rest of the day. And I know a lot of you are asking about your individual cities and counties. That goes for everybody. For later on tonight, the threats are all the same for everyone. Damaging winds, heavy rain, tornado threat, all of it. So that's just giving you that breakdown of that right now. So here's what we have going on. Sorry, I keep looking at my phone. I am watching the severe thunderstorm warnings, and there is an update on the one in Breckinridge County. So I'm going to go back to that really quickly so I can keep an eye on what's going on here. So just bear with me, y'all, because I want to make sure I'm keeping everyone up to date with what's going on. Okay, so we're going to look at this together to see what's happening. So notice that most of the region quiet. Not even seeing a drop of rain just yet. One pretty decent downpour, though, popping up near Magnolia. For those of you in Grayson County, you're underneath that severe thunderstorm warning. For those of you, Grayson County, Hart County, weather aware now, because we have the number of severe thunderstorm warnings, tornado warnings off towards your southwest. Easily can see these extended into your area over the next half an hour. So let's just look at what we are dealing with right now with the tornado warnings off towards our southwest, because these look to have significant rotation with them. So let's look at the Central City one first. This one has quite a bit of strong winds that I'm seeing, and trying to look a little bit more at the velocity in the area. There is certainly some rotation happening there that we'll have to keep an eye on some very strong winds trying to move into areas near Beaver Dam. Thankfully, no hail with this particular storm, but Beaver Dam, Cool Spring, Rochester, over towards Central City, Greenville, Kentucky. This is where we are seeing some of these strong storms, and we'll have to keep an eye on that because it's going to be pushing past the Morgantown area towards Welch's Creek and then eventually into Grayson County. So this is just the first batch of these storms that we are dealing with. Already seeing that potential for some strong wind gusts over 50 plus miles per hour, even can see some gusts up to 70 miles per hour with some of these storms moving in. And then let's look at what's going on further to the south. I know a lot of people have friends, family, Russellville, Kentucky, up towards Bowling Green. And this is where we're seeing this tornado warning that has looked very impressive on sideline radar throughout the morning. And you can certainly see where the very bright reds are right there. That is some strong wind embedded in that thunderstorm as of right now. So that's like 70 plus mile per hour wind gusts that we're seeing there. I'm not seeing as much of the rotation that I was earlier. Let me roll it back and see what we got going on there. Okay, so it looks like it's just passed right by the radar. Okay, so we are continuing to keep an eye on everything in terms of that. So it looks like there was that tornado that went past the Hopkinsville area, and continuing to keep an eye on these storms because, as I've been mentioning, we are seeing the damaging wind gust threat. That's the main thing that we're looking at for today. 50, 60, 70 plus mile per hour wind gusts possible with these storms. These can easily topple trees, cause some power outages with that. And then we're going to be keeping an eye on, of course, everything going on in terms of the heavy rain threat with the flooding threat with this, because we do have a flood watch in place that goes until tomorrow morning at 8 a.m. So the heavy rain can start to cause some issues, especially for those of you south of the parkway. So, of course, the radar is already very, very active. And we've been watching the reports of damage from parts of Missouri and Arkansas since early this morning. So I got into work at 4 o'clock this morning. And even then, I was seeing reports of damage and seeing all of the videos coming in from portions of northern Arkansas and southern Missouri. So really thinking about everyone over there. And of course, all of the tornado damage that we're already starting to see in portions of western Kentucky. So a lot to watch. We need these storms to weaken as they move in. That's the thing. And we do have a pretty decent amount of energy in the atmosphere right now in our area to keep some of these storms going. So we'll just have to watch our very southernmost counties. So the counties that I'm looking at and really focused in on for the rest of the morning as of right now, based on the way things are looking, are from Meade County and Breckinridge County all the way into Spencer County and south to Adair County. Those are the counties that I'm really concerned with as of right now. Because for those of you further to the north in Indiana, I've seen some questions about those of you further to the north in Indiana. It's some pretty heavy rain, a lot of lightning and some gusty winds with those. But the severe weather is still mainly further to the south, and this is going east, northeast. So some of this will try to track up towards the 64 corridor as it tries to move out of our area. So that's the thing that we have to watch. And I'm on here right now, not to make anyone panic. I don't want anyone to freak out. I'm here to make sure that you know what's going on, the potential of what's coming, so you can be prepared. Because I know a lot of people have storm anxiety. That is part of the reason why I'm on here right now. That is part of the reason that I'm going to be here as long as I need to be to make sure I keep you aware of what's going on. And the entire wave weather team is watching, and Ryan Hoke is on his way in. Love that guy. So that's what I'm telling you. We are on it. We are watching it, and we want to make sure that you are aware of what's going on. So I'm going to go through and try to answer some of your questions. So, question, I see a question about tornadoes. Yes, we have to keep an eye on the potential for some more of those tornadoes later on today. These this morning have been holding on a little bit longer with some of these thunderstorms pushing through. So I'll have to keep an eye on that. But that threat for more of those tornadoes is around for tonight. Thankfully, it's not a complete overnight situation. Once we get past 2 a.m., that severe threat does go down. So that's going to help us out a lot. Okay, so Jackie says it's not a very good time frame. I live in Valley Station, a mobile home, and nowhere to go. So Jackie, if you can find someone to stay with as these storms move in, and then later on tonight, that would be the best bet. But a mobile home is certainly not the place to be in this type of situation. For those of you in Meade County, I see a question about Meade County. Some of those storms are moving towards you. You'll probably get a couple of these severe thunderstorm warnings as the morning goes along and we get into the early afternoon. So going to be keeping an eye on that. Also, many schools have graduation at Broadbent Arena today. Our sons will be there at 3:45 with graduation at 4. Okay, so the thing is just making sure they know that they're not driving through anything bad. As of right now, of course, Louisville is quiet. We'll have to keep an eye on the storms they'll be moving through at that point. So it's just being aware of what's happening. Hopefully the storms are out, but keep in mind that first batch of storms look to be moving out of the area by 4 o'clock. So it could be that they will be just dealing with rain, Stacy, as they are heading to their graduation, which congratulations to them. By the way, I want to make sure that I say that graduating is a big deal. So very proud of them. Happy that they made it this far. So in terms of, okay, I see a question about rotation. What distance above the ground in the atmosphere are you looking at normally for rotation initially? Yes. To answer your question, Matt, yes. It starts higher up in the atmosphere and then it goes towards the ground. And you'll see sometimes that if you are looking maybe at a video or a tornado forming, you'll see that initial rotation happening, the storm itself above your head. And then you'll notice maybe some rotation happening on the ground, but nothing quite matches and connects quite yet until more of that debris or dirt or whatever gets spun up. And that's when you start to see the full thing, unless the cloud and there's enough moisture for you to see the full funnel. So it just depends, but mostly yes, top to bottom with the tornado formation. Just going to be keeping an eye on more of these storms rolling in. Let's see. A lot of people having graduation parties. I know my in-laws are having a little cookout today after they go to church. So everybody's watching it. I'm watching it for everyone. So for those of you in Breckenridge County, I see Christy. Yes, you're asking about Breckenridge County. I'm going to zoom in on that for you because you have rain moving into your area right now, and you have that severe thunderstorm warning on your doorstep. So we'll have to watch, see how much of the storms from Owensboro can hold on and continue to hold together, how well they hold together as they move into your area. So you could see that potential for 50, 60 plus mile per hour winds, very heavy rain within the next hour and a half for those of you in Breckenridge County. Carroll County, I see Tommy asking. Tommy, you are fine for at least right now. The storms are well to your west. I'd say closer to noon. You're starting to see some more of these storms. Just double checking some more of these warnings that are coming out. Okay, those are for Logan, Simpson, and Warren counties until 10 o'clock. Okay, so we're continuing to watch everything. So Chad's asking, below Louisville is the main threat as of right now. This is for right now. It's just taking a wider look at the area just so everyone can see what's going on. I'm going to put the radar in motion so you can see what's going on. All the warnings are off towards the southwest. So still only including the western portions of Grayson County in the warning that we are dealing with right now, that severe thunderstorm warning, and that they are putting that out ahead of the tornado warning that's towards Central City. That is what we have going on right now. We now have, remember how I said within the next hour, for those of you in Breckenridge County, here we go. So we have that severe thunderstorm warning that just came out for Breckenridge County. So let's zoom into that. It goes areas west of Hardinsburg. Continuing to keep an eye on that potential for damaging wind gusts over 70 miles per hour, hail size around 3/4 of an inch. And we have to keep an eye on that tornado threat. Right now, any rotation is still well to your west, but I'm going to put on that for you so we can see what's going on in terms of rotation in the Breckenridge County area. For those of you further towards Breckenridge County, notice there's not any rotation happening right now, but they're focused in on what's happening off towards your southwest with some of those strong wind gusts in that area. And we could see some of that spin up happening there. So we'll be continuing to keep an eye on that tornado warning. And then the one that they have now extended into the Bowling Green area. So they see that flashing happening there. Let's see what update that they, oh, this is the tiniest fonts. Bear with me, y'all. Okay, so this storm, these are racing. They're moving east. This storm in particular is moving east at 70 miles per hour. This is why they're trying to put these warnings out at ahead of the tornado warning, so everyone gets a heads up before things start to move their way. So yeah, this is going to be something else that they'll be continuing to watch. And this goes until 10 a.m. Central Time. So 11 a.m. Eastern Time is how long this one is expected to last. So a lot to watch this morning as we got all of this active weather going on, mainly to our southwest. The question is, do these tornado warnings hold on? They're not looking as impressive as they did before, which is certainly some good news. But we're going to have to, and I will continue to watch it, but still, that wind with these storms is something else that certainly cannot discount at all as these storms are moving in. So yeah, the rotation towards Central City, let me zoom in on this one for you, not looking as impressive as it did before, but still seeing some of that rotation in that area. So that's probably why they have that going on for right now. And then let's look at the one down towards Russellville. Yeah, that's some very strong wind and some rotation trying to happen there. Okay. So those are the two that we are watching. We're just hoping that they can fall apart a little bit more. There we go. They canceled that tornado warning. Okay, so I'm saying it wasn't looking as impressive for Central City. So that's some good news there. But still, the 50, 60, 70 mile per hour winds, I can't discount that either. That can cause some issues all on their own. So I want you to be weather aware once again. Breckenridge County, Grayson County, these are moving towards you. The one that would be moving from Russellville towards Bowling Green, that is a storm that looks like it could impact Hart County and Greene County. So we'll have to keep an eye on that one as well in case it can hold together. But it does look, a lot of these are starting to fall apart as they move into our region, which is certainly good news. But the damaging wind threat and the heavy rain threat, two things that certainly we cannot discount at all. Okay, I'm going to make this the radar a little bit smaller so I can read all of your comments going through. So and by the way, I see a lot of you having comments about various events going on. You don't have to cancel your plans. You just need to be aware of what's happening. Because yes, we can have the heavy rain, the gusty winds, but if you can plan when you leave your home and get to your destination around the timing of the strongest storms, then you will be just fine for today. Okay, let's go through some more of these. Okay, so a lot of you are asking specifically about locations, but as of right now, the main severe threat, I'm going to zoom out a little bit more so you can see things a little bit better. Sorry, still looking at the consistent updates coming in on my phone right now. So just a better look at what you're seeing right now across our area. I'm going to zoom in so we can see a little bit closer to us here in Wave Country. Notice, for those of you in Indiana, you're seeing some pretty gusty thunderstorms moving towards you. I wouldn't be surprised if we saw some very heavy rain, a whole lot of lightning. So it's going to sound pretty rowdy as it moves through. My main concern as of right now are the storms pushing through portions of Kentucky. This is where we're seeing the 60, 70 mile per hour wind gusts. This is where we've seen some of these tornado warnings already in portions of Kentucky, and we're watching to see if how much these can hold on, because it does look like as they move into our area, these storms are going to continue to fall apart. There's a trend that's expected to happen from now all the way until about noon today. Then if we are able to see the atmosphere destabilize again, we can see another round of some storms as we get towards 2, 3, 4 o'clock hour, mainly across Kentucky again. So for this batch, this first round of storms, mainly focused in on Kentucky on that severe threat. I know a lot of people have been asking about that. And Brittany asking, thank you. Seeing Brandenburg, wind picking up. Yes, that's that storm moving towards you as of right now. Dallas, will Louisville get clipped with the first wave of storms? Yes, I know a lot of people are going to be out and about today. Yes, Louisville is going to get hit by some of these storms. Whether or not they're going to be strong, severe, still something that we'll have to wait and see. But Louisville is getting rain with this round and some gusty winds with this round. Whether or not they've reached that severe criteria is something that we're going to continue to watch, because just because you got the rain doesn't mean it's actually going to be severe, right? So that includes all of Louisville getting in on some rain chances within the next, I would say, hour and a half, getting some of these storms moving into Metro Louisville. Brittany's asking, will the tornado watch be expanded to include Bowling Green? I'm pretty sure to Oldham County. I'm pretty sure it already does include you. Double check for you right now. So what we got going on? No, you are just to the north of the watch. There is that chance that you could get included in it, yes, but I would be more concerned with the one later on tonight for you, but you can still see some damaging winds with some of the stronger storms. So we're going to be keeping an eye on that. For asking about Bowling Green right now, I'm doing my best to answer as many of these questions. A lot of you are asking them this morning. So let's look back down on Bowling Green. Bowling Green, for those of you who have friends and family down there, is currently underneath a tornado warning. And this is a storm that has been producing some damage already so far. No warning any damage so far in that area, but notice the strongest of the storm. If I zoom in properly for you here and stop the radar, you can see the strongest of the wind right now. I'm going to channel my inner Brian Good and do some drawing for you here. The strongest of the storms as of right now off towards the west of Bowling Green. So towards Chandler's Chapel, towards Auburn, towards Browning. This is where the strongest winds, the heaviest rain, the bulk of the storm is as of right now. And double checking on the velocities in that area, seeing a lot of strong wind. The rotation not looking as impressive, but with that little notch there going on in here, let me show you a little bit better here. With the little notch going on right in this area, this is where we can still have some of that rotation happening, and this is why that tornado warning is still in place. Question, how fast are the storms moving right now? Some of these are moving 60, 70 miles per hour, so slower than some of y'all drive on the highway. But yes, they're continuing to move pretty quickly, and they're all moving to the northeast. If you're looking at the Wave Weather app, east-northeast, that is where these storms are going to be continuing to move. I'm going to put the radar back on for you so you can see a little bit better what's happening there. Yes, so they're continuing. A lot of the severe thunderstorm warnings in place, and the Weather Prediction Center. This is how you know that a meteorologist is with you. Weather Prediction Center is keeping an eye on the storms that are off towards our west and southwest, because there's a lot of moisture being pulled into our region right now, and they're concerned about flash flooding. So let me show you a little bit more about we talked about the heavy rain threat, and we talked a lot about the severe thunderstorm threat for today. But we do have a flash flooding threat as well for today. So we have to keep an eye on that throughout the rest of the day, because with the multiple rounds of these storms pushing through, we're going to see that potential for 1 to 3 inches of rain. That's with both batches of the storms moving through. This is why we have the flood watch in place until tomorrow morning at 8 a.m. And Kentucky looks to get the majority of that heavy rainfall. And also for those of you, as I mentioned a little bit earlier, Greene, Taylor, Adair counties, for those of you who are just hopping on, Greene, Taylor, Adair counties, since you had the most rain over the past week, your potential for flash flooding is greater than in other locations. So that is why we're concerned for everyone, but a little bit more concerned for those of you south of the parkways. So question about Gazebo Fest. Yes, I know, I think everything kicks off at 2 o'clock today. I think that's when the first act goes on, if I remember correctly. And with that, we are going to see some of that rain pushing through, some gusty winds pushing through. So for those of you going to Gazebo Fest around 2 o'clock today, you could be dealing with that first batch of these thunderstorms moving and into and through our area at that point. So you want to make sure that you know of a place that you can shelter while the storms are moving through, and then get back out there, because they are going to, per officials with Gazebo Fest, they are going to kick everybody out if there's severe weather moving in, and then they will readmit you once everything's gone. So just keep that in mind. Maybe don't wander too far, but make sure you are knowing what's going on, because once they kick you out for the severe weather threat, once that's passed, they will readmit you. So that's some good news. We're going to be keeping an eye on some of that strong wind in portions of Breckinridge County, watching a bit of rotation that is trying to form in portions of southwest Breckinridge County. Let's look at this together, because things are looking a little bit interesting for those of you in Breckinridge County as of right now. Yes, I am oh, here we go. Okay, watching some rotation happening in northern portions of Grayson and southern portions of Breckinridge County. Yeah, I would not be surprised if they try to put some sort of warning out on this. Okay. So it's just a heads up for those of you watching right now. If there is more of that severe weather that moves in, I'm going to hop off of here, hop on air so you can watch us live on Wave News. I know there's a lot of events going on and being covered today. I think coverage for the Indy 500 starts at 11 o'clock this morning. So this is something that we'll have to continue to keep an eye on. And if I have to hop on, I'll have to hop on. I'll do my very best not to be as long as, you know, some of you will be annoyed for it, but we're going to do our very, very best. So here's what we got going on. We have still the National Weather Service still updating the severe thunderstorm warnings in areas for the south, but it does look like we could see some pretty strong wind and even that potential for some rotation. In right now, the way it's looking, it would be towards, I think that's pronounced Shreve, correct me if I'm wrong, Dentster, Axtell. That is where we're seeing some of the strongest wind gusts right now, and that potential for a bit of rotation there. So going to be keeping an eye on this. This is already underneath a severe thunderstorm warning as of right now. And that warning for those of you in Breckinridge County, that goes until, I'll pop it up so everyone can see here. If it wants to work for me, there we go. That one goes until 10:15 a.m. Central Time. So, oh, it's a little bit delayed there. And then the one for those of you in Grayson County, that warning goes until 10:15 a.m. Central Time as well. I would not be surprised if these were extended a little bit more as these storms roll through. And National Weather Service just updated the severe thunderstorm warning for portions of Bowling Green and Franklin, Kentucky, and that will go until 10:30 a.m. Central Time. So let's talk about, I'll go through, how's this? Because everybody's asking about their area right now and what they're going to get for today. So for those of you who have just joined in and you're just watching right now, I'm going to go through each of the individual issues that we're potentially dealing with for today and talk a little bit more about what we're going to be dealing with for the rest of the day. So here is the recap for those of you who are just joining. I'm going to pull everything in and start from the beginning. So what we're dealing with as of right now is the tornado watch. It is for areas along and south of 64. It does include Louisville, Shelby County, Harrison County, over towards Crawford County, and everyone further to the south. That is what we're seeing right now. And that tornado watch goes until 4 p.m. It is for the first wave of storms. Once this first wave of storms moves through, keep in mind, we'll see another batch pushing in for later on tonight. We have the flood watch in place. It kicked in at 8 a.m. this morning. It's going to go until 8 a.m. tomorrow morning because of the heavy rain threat that comes along with everything. The radar shows active storms starting to push into portions of Breckinridge County, Grayson County. We could see some heavy rain. We could see some wind gusts near 70 plus miles per hour with these storms, and even some small hail as they move through. The warnings that we have right now for Breckinridge County and Grayson County go until 10:15 a.m. Central Time. We are watching more of those storms off towards our west. You can see the impact the rain and the clouds are having on temperatures across the area. For those of you further to the east, already well into those mid to upper 70s, while the areas that are covered with those clouds are really just talking about low to mid 70s as of this moment. In terms of our severe risk for everyone is underneath that enhanced risk of severe weather, level 3 out of 5 for today. Breaking down the threats individually. For those of you across the majority of wave country, we have that potential for some tornadoes as the day goes along, but the threat as of right now looks to be greatest for those of you west of 65. So west of Louisville. So basically for those of you from Lawrence County, south towards Litchfield, you have a better chance to see some of those tornadoes as the day goes along with both batches of severe weather. Then for everyone for today, we have that potential to see not just wind gusts over 58 miles per hour, but gusts with these storms near 70 plus miles per hour. Severe thunderstorm warning will be issued if we get any of those embedded in some of these thunderstorms, and that is for every single one of us. Then for the hail threat, everyone has that potential to see some large hail, but for those of you further to the west of wave country, so if you have any friends in Evansville and then from Hardinsburg west, you have a better threat to see some of that hail, large hail later on today. Breaking down the timing a little bit more for you. Right now, we're seeing some of these strong storms moving in. These will be approaching the 65 corridor as we get closer to 11:30 noon today. That's when we're going to see some more of these storms moving in. In fact, just getting a notification of some strong storms now pushing towards portions of LaRue, Hart, Grayson counties, and Bullitt counties as of right now. And even into parts of Breckinridge County, you could see some of these strong storms. And wind gusts with these storms moving into your area could be up to 50 miles per hour. So some very strong winds. Not seeing any reports of hail with these. So it's the strong winds that we'll have to watch with those storms currently moving into, I'm going to repeat that for you once again. For those of you from Bowling Green and Glasgow up to Litchfield and Hodgenville, including Hardinsburg, Mumfordville, Brownsville, Radcliffe, Three Springs. You're all included in that potential for some of these strong wind gusts over 50 miles per hour until about 11:30. And that's going to be 11:30 Eastern time. Now, as we continue throughout the rest of the morning, we'll see some more of these storms marching to the east through lunch. Getting into the afternoon, additional thunderstorms pushing through towards 2, 3, 4 o'clock. Right now, all the modeling has that focused in an area south of 64, so basically where we have that tornado watch in place as of right now. Then we'll get past 4 p.m., things start to calm down. We get a little bit of a break. We try to warm up a bit. Then past 10 p.m. is when the next wave of thunderstorms starts to barrel into our region. We'll have to keep an eye on how quickly it starts to move in, because with systems like this, they tend to try to speed up and move a little bit faster, which is good because that means we'll get some sleep, but bad because if you aren't staying up to date with the forecast, you could be dealing with a situation where things are happening ahead of schedule of what you initially planned, which is why it's so important to say, be weather aware. That's what we say that, and that's what we mean, because things can change pretty quickly. Once we get past about 10 o'clock tonight, that's when that next wave of storms move in. These can bring some more of the damaging winds, the heavy rain, that potential for some large hail, all with it. Remember, the heavy rain threat is something else that you cannot forget about today, because especially for those of you across Kentucky, where we've already seen the heavy rain this week. Everything starts to move out once we get towards midnight, 2 a.m., and then we'll be quiet. And then once we get further through tomorrow morning, we'll be talking about some quieter weather to start off Memorial Day. So I talked about the heavy rain threat. Here's what we could see, anywhere from 1 to 3 inches. I would not be surprised if we saw some higher totals than that with this system moving through. So a lot to watch for today, a lot to keep an eye on throughout the rest of the day. I've been with you for the past 45 minutes updating you. I'm going to hop off. Ryan Hope just walked into the building, just saw him pass by the room. So what we're going to do is we're going to talk about how things are trending and work on keeping you updated throughout the rest of the day. For those of you who have that Wave Weather app, just giving you that heads up as of right now, we'll be updating that throughout the day. That's going to be the first place we update. This is also where you can watch everything live throughout the rest of the day if we have to hop on and there is some more of those tornado warnings. So keep an eye on that. Keep your location turned on, your notifications turned on, and we will be with you. So thankfully, things not looking as impressive, but still going to be seeing some more of those strong storms. It does look like they canceled that tornado warning towards Bowling Green, which is some very good news. That's what we like to see, right? I'm just going to double, before I hop off of here, I'm going to double check on that rotation in portions of Breckenridge County. I just want to make sure I look at that before I go as well for those of you who are on here. What we're seeing right now, still seeing some strong winds in that area. No rotation as of right now, but it's something that we'll continue to watch. I'm just going to pop the radar back on so we can see everything and talk about what's happening across the entire area. So you see the warnings for those of you in Breckenridge County and in Grayson County. These storms are going to be racing in from the west. It does look like a lot of them are falling apart, which is some good news. We still see some of these gusts near 50 miles per hour, and those in their own, while they don't quite count as severe, they could still do some damage. So I just need everyone to stay weather aware, which is the big thing for today. While we are dealing with some more of these strong storms as of right now, don't forget, after this first batch moves in tonight, we could see some more of these storms pushing through portions of wave country. So I'm going to hop off. I'm going to talk to Ryan. We're going to discuss how we're expecting things to go for the rest of the day, but I just want to make sure everyone knows what's going on so you can be up to date throughout the morning. And if we have to hop on and go over the Indy 500 coverage, we will, just to make sure that we are keeping everyone safe and informed throughout the rest of the day. So everyone behave yourselves, keep an eye on the Wave Weather app, have your locations, notifications turned on, and we'll be watching it for you, me, Ryan, Brian, throughout the rest of the day. So y'all stay safe.